And today we're going to be talking about AI and the rise and prominence of AI in our society today. Because we actually had a show about 2 years ago regarding NFTs and the metaverse at the time. And I remember that was like the big tech talk at the time was NFTs. And honestly, I haven't heard of NFTs ever since that episode. So I haven't really looked into that anymore. But really, what a lot of people are talking about and has really become mainstream is AI, which is artificial intelligence. So I kind of wanted to take today's show and kind of share our thoughts and our opinions on how we feel about AI right now, because it really is taking over, and I'm really seeing it like a lot more prominently, again, in news articles, in the news, on social media, and on all these creative apps, like in many ways. So yeah, we're going to share our thoughts about that. But right before we get into it, I wanted to ask you, Santi, what is your favorite type of drink to get on a summer day?
Favorite type of drink? Ooh, that's a great question. Um, I mean, I really like sparkling water right now. I have tried to avoid using or consuming a lot of drinks with sugar.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't know. I just try to avoid that. So, plain sparkling water or lemon sparkling water, I really enjoy that with some ice. Or cold. So,
Okay. Yeah,
what about you?
I agree with you. I think sparkling water is really good too. But I think for the summertime particularly, I like watermelon juice, or like a fruit juice. It's just I think it's really, and lemonade. Lemonade, you can't go wrong with lemonade. So that's kind of what I would lean more towards, and what I've been drinking a bit more. But actually, I've been drinking a lot more sparkling water now that I think about it. And it's really funny because I used to not like sparkling water all that much growing up, but I think like ever since I left high school and stuff, I like found like the fondness or like the taste for it. So yeah. But thanks for sharing. But delving right into it. Yeah. So let's just start with kind of like what the definition for artificial intelligence, AI. So according to the Oxford Dictionary, AI means the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. So, the way I see it is like it's a very complex like algorithm. And artificial intelligence can kind of be implemented into, like the definition said, different types of in different types of ways. So one of those can be again for like recognizing speech, or even giving some creating videos out of prompts. Like that's kind of what I see a lot, is a lot of AI prompt makers or generators. And yeah, I think lately where I have seen like AI being used a lot is in photos and creating videos, and also for helping people out with like their assignments, their homework assignments, or creating like small paragraphs and stuff through ChatGPT, which I'm sure a lot of people have heard of at this point now. Yeah, but did you want to add to other ways you've seen AI being used, Santi?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, our our phones when the face recognition, that's AI. It recognizes your face. It opens up. That's like a small portion of what we've experienced of AI. Siri as well, kind of
Yeah, that was kind of like the first implementation of,
and
of
Siri
like
literally
AI, right?
Japan. Yeah,
Is kind of
Siri,
Siri.
because Siri you can ask like, hey Siri, call this person or text this person. That's kind of AI. And then ChatGPT, as you mentioned, I would say the new softwares like the Adobe like in Photoshop specifically.
Yeah, like generative fill.
Yeah, so it's being used to I would say it's being used to help artists get their work a lot faster. And we can talk about that. The use of AI with artists can be very tricky.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like especially because I'm in like the social media field, a lot of people and businesses use it to generate like search up what I want to do. Let's say open mic night. What can I do as reels or post ideas? And ChatGPT will list
Give
10
you
plus
suggestions
more
and-
suggestions. Yeah. So there's multiple ways.
Yeah, I
Even
remember.
logos now. If you go on websites, they'll generate a logo and they ask for like what the name of the company is, what colors are you thinking of, what icons you're thinking of, and it kind of mashes everything together and creates a logo.
Yeah, that's definitely ways that I've also seen it be implemented. I think it's also interesting right now that on talking about our phones, AI has been implemented to like all the social medias now, basically. Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, they all have their own AI built in to the app itself now. So, for example, on Instagram, you're able to now it's kind of like ChatGPT. Like you can just type in like a question to the AI, or like you said, it can also create images out of what you describe, or in this case, like create a logo or something for you. It can do all of that now just off of the app, just off of an app. You know what I mean? So I think that's really it amounts to be like, to me, it's like, dang, that's a lot of progression. Like we didn't have something like that last year, you know? I think AI was like around last year and was starting to be more like mainstreamish, but now in 2024, like we're seeing it everywhere. And I think that
like smart home devices as well, those are considered part of AI. So like Alexa, the Google one.
Yeah, and those are assistants. Those are like AI assistants.
Yeah.
Right?
So we've kind of we've used AI before, but now it's just really getting the up into a different level.
Totally, because I think right now what we're seeing is like, okay, we have Siri, we have Alexa, we have all these AI assistants, but now we have ways in which the AIs can become artists for us. And like you said, that can be a little controversial. It is controversial. It's not a little. It is controversial. And the other thing that I've seen about AI art specifically is that you can look at a piece of art and you can kind of tell that it was made with AI. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's actually an interesting question, because I don't know. As an artist myself, as someone who's creative and someone who like sees a lot of art day to day, it's like when I see AI art, I can tell that it's AI. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I don't know if for other people that don't exactly, look at art every day or actually know too much about art, when they create something on ChatGPT or create a generative photo or something, if they see that it looks kind of similar to what other people are making with AI, you know what I mean? Because I don't know. For me, it's just that all the AI posts that I've been seeing, they all look kind of similar-ish, or they all have like this kind of like uncanny look to them, I guess, to put it in a way. But yeah, I don't know if you've noticed that, like kind of AI has a certain look to it.
I think they're experimenting a lot with what it can do. So it definitely has some errors in it when it comes to creating art. And the reason why it's controversial to those who don't understand why, we kind of say it's controversial, because especially for artists, in my case, I'll talk about graphic design and photography. You're creating a lot of those art without, you're using tools and you're doing it manually by yourself. And it can be tricky now because of the copyright. That part is what makes it tricky, whether you created the art as an artist or AI created it, where people kind of don't understand. And it's something that I, as an artist, is trying to understand as well, is how to use AI as a tool. An example I can give is Photoshop. Let's say we take a photo right now, right? Yeah. And I have my sparkling water. And normally I would have to manually like kind of go in and trace this and cut it out. It's something I already do. But with generative fill, I can literally type remove this and it will automatically remove it. Yeah. So that's how I find ways that it can be useful as a tool. It makes work a lot easier, especially if you are creating art for your job or an organization or a campaign. It can definitely speed up the process. But I can understand how people think that
it's a little lazy.
Or they can start to not trust artists to know if it's original art. So that's why it's very controversial. But in many ways, I think as artists, we should definitely learn more about the use of AI and how we can use it as a tool. A lot of people are afraid of it, and I completely understand that. I'm also afraid of it as well. But I don't think it's going to replace, and I hope it doesn't replace artists because of that creativity part. But that's why we said it's controversial.
Totally. And I think also right now we're seeing a lot more, Well, no. People do have the right to feel speculative about, especially when they're hiring like a graphic designer or looking into people's like portfolios and stuff. Like now, there's that scare and chance of like people saying like, "Oh, maybe they created that with AI, or maybe that was generated with AI." You know what I mean? But again, like I don't know. It's hard to say, but for me, I can just tell. Like I can look at something and be like, "Okay, that was made with AI." Like I don't know. At least for now, that's how I see AI right now.
And it's something that won't go away. I mean, the more time goes by, the more we see AI being, put into our lives more and more. So the more we understand it, the more we can see how it can benefit and not benefits and work around it rather than just, being surprised by it, which is what a lot of people are confused, like myself as well. I can share in a moment where I was like, that's kind of really creepy and it freaked me out, was Whole Foods. Especially Whole Foods here in NSR, you can pay with the palm of your hand. Like you don't need to put your wallet or, your credit card or do the Apple Pay. They literally by your palm, they can tell whose account it is and they can, pay. So I found that really kind of freaked me out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's a the more we learn it, we can understand it, and then we can choose if we want to do that or not. So I hope that makes sense.
Interesting. So that actually reminds me too that I have seen more AI being implemented into fast food jobs or like retail jobs, right? Because the Panda Express, specifically here in Marin City, the Marin City Panda Express, at the drive-through, it's an AI person now taking your order. So
oh really?
Yeah, so it was really interesting. Yeah.
How do you know it's an?
Well, it's because when you drive up to the drive-through, right? There's a little area where you order. Instead of it being like a person, it's like an AI voice saying like, "Hey, welcome to Panda Express. What would you like to buy?" And it's like
it's
very
more robotic.
It's way more robotic, and you can just it just threw me off. I was like, "Oh, whoa! They're like already using AI like in this drive-through now," and it makes sense because I feel like it does save a lot more time for the people that are doing like the food and stuff. That way, people aren't like multitasking. Because I know how stressful it could be working at a drive-through job and then having to multitask with one taking orders and then two fulfilling like another order right after. Like it is a lot of multitasking. So in that case, I see it, but also it's scary because those types of jobs that were a bit simpler for people to do are starting to go away now because of these AI advancements.
Would sorry to interrupt you, but would the crossing the Golden Gate or any bridge count as AI as well? For example, before you would have to pay, but now it's based on your plates.
I don't think that's AI. I think that's
was
just
that
like
considered?
no. I think that's just like a system. I think that's just like a system that's in place.
I was
like,
kind of curious in that.
No, I mean, I guess I'm thinking of it more of a perspective where the AI is acting as a person, acting as a human, right? So that's why I found it really interesting that when I was taking my order at the Panda Express, that the person taking my order wasn't actually a real person. It was an AI. So that's what threw me kind of off guard. But at the same time, I think it's a sign of where our future is heading with AI. And it is in those kinds of smaller retail spaces. Also, I haven't been to these types of restaurants, but I see them all over social media. There's these restaurants where they don't have like waiters. They have like robot waiters.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like these like robots that are on wheels and stuff, and they just kind of go around and they have like a little AI device or AI system in them, so that they just take your order and they just write everything down and they bring your food to you and everything. It's really interesting. I've seen a few restaurants like online that I've seen like just implementing that now. I don't know if there's any in Marin right now. I mean, there probably is, but I just don't know where. But I'm just saying that that's another way in which AI and also the advancements with robotic technology have really been going towards is again creating replacements for these jobs that may seem like not a lot for a lot of people, but are actually taking jobs away from people who might have actually just needed those jobs.
I was going to say that's the other part of AI that can be really scary, and that's why I'm glad we're also having the show to talk about it for those who can really look into their lives and their future, because AI is taking over a lot of jobs. And it's really good for companies because they can save up on a lot of money, and there's a whole backstory to it, but it can be really sad for families and communities that need those jobs. So
Right.
being prepared and understanding of what can happen, hopefully that can help families to choose and see options that they can take. Again, I don't know if the paying on the bridge is AI, but that's an example. People were standing there collecting payment, and they got paid for that, and that was taken away. And then also at grocery stores, you used to be able to, or you had a what do they call
Oh, the self-checkouts?
before the self checkouts. So there's the
Express checkout?
no. So the employees, they actually, you had to be in line. They had to, but now the self checkouts were introduced that
Right.
replaced a lot of jobs for many people as well. So there's small things that definitely, as we advance in technology, it is taking away jobs for families. And again, just understanding and being prepared for that is important.
It's going to take a lot of jobs, actually. Not even. I know I'm thinking about it at a retail level, like at a retail job, at a fast food kind of level. But there's also, I know that there's advancements being made right now for AI to solve coding issues. So even for coders, you know what I mean? Like companies can just buy an AI algorithm that's built to like know all the code, know all the mistakes, and just keep learning and learning. That's the thing about AI; it keeps learning and learning, and keeps getting better and stronger, which is really scary to say, but it's true. That again, like these coding companies or these big tech companies, they can just invest into AI and then make an AI algorithm that suits to their needs, and then that way they just have an AI doing their coding the whole time, and they don't have to hire any coders at all for that.
Yeah, and again,
Yeah.
it's being more introduced in our lives, especially this past couple years. It's being really introduced, and then next year as well. I know for those who have iPhone users, the big Siri update that is huge. Having Siri is going to be able to. It's kind of like, so Apple and ChatGPT, if I'm correct, they are doing a partnership. So Siri.
Yeah, and the new iOS update, right?
Yeah. So you can literally have conversations with Siri, and it,
It's a bit more complex now.
yeah, more complex than what you can do now. So again, it's all really scary, especially because our phones are very personal, and
they're always hearing us.
yeah, I mean, they our phones, like, we keep a lot of things in there. So the fact that Siri will be able to know and understand us, it is scary. But again, just understanding and doing your research. And I think hopefully you can still have that choice of deciding whether something you like or don't like and choose a different phone or anything. But it seems to me that, all these tech companies are really pushing AI.
Yeah, and then kind of going back to talking about like how AI is being implemented into video and photography and stuff like that. What I've also seen a lot right now, and I've seen advancements in, is that on social media specifically, people are taking like these iconic videos, like these meme videos or something that have been like around for years, and they're using I don't know what AI program it is, but there's an AI program that can basically take like 7 seconds of already existing footage and add more to it. Yeah. So as in like, okay, let's say there's this clip of a kid running away from his parents or something. I don't know. And then the shot just ends with the kid running away. You could write like a prompt saying, as the kid is running away, a red car appears and a monster starts chasing the kid or something like that.
Oh, really?
And then you write that prompt, and then it can create like, I think you can set like how long you want it to extend the clip, and then it just creates it. It looks really weird, and sometimes it doesn't work, but there's people that have figured the algorithm out really well to really make like really. They're creepy. Like they're creepy. They're straight up creepy. Where it's just like these videos that you've seen like for so long, you just see them get extended, and you're just like, whoa, what the heck?
Really?
Like they just extended the whole video, and it does a fairly okay job right now at extending the video, so it makes it seem like it was longer. I think again, it's just something that's going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
But I can see that it's scary, but at the same time, that's game changing for video makers and stuff, because sometimes if you have a clip of a video that just isn't long enough and you just needed like a couple seconds more, or even up to 30 seconds more or something, like you can do it and then get away with it for just a little bit. You know what I mean? So that's how I really see AI as a tool, is in the creative space, is using it as a tool, not overusing it. Right? I want to make that clear. Not overusing AI, not making it like the main way in which you're making your video. You still want to be original. But AI can really help in cases like that, like extending a video.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky. It gets really tricky because even for like podcasters now, if there's different cameras, like let's say my camera, your camera, what I do know, what you told me right now, I wasn't aware of, but what I do know is that if you're doing something like a podcast and you put all these, 2 clips together, and then there's a software using AI that will cut to whenever you're talking and I'm talking.
Oh yeah.
So it will make the podcast more back and forth without that.
Without you having to do that work, which saves a ton of
because
time.
doing an hour for 2 videos only, it can take up to 4 hours or more.
Yeah.
To cut where I'm talking, cut where you're talking, put it together. So again, that's a way to save time. Continue on.
Yeah, and then again with video as well, it could also be, again, it leads to a lot of misinformation too, because people can just create like like fake videos of like a president or something, right now with the presidential debates going on and
That's the
stuff.
other scary part.
Yeah, it's like people. Well, actually, the other thing that I forgot to even mention is AI voice. Like AI has gotten really, really good right now at mimicking people's voices. And I've seen like the way I have been seeing it a lot more or hearing it a lot more is people creating like AI covers of songs with different people singing that song. For example, like a Michael Jackson song, you could create like an AI cover of it so that instead of Michael Jackson singing it, it's like Paul McCartney singing it or Ed Sheeran singing the Michael Jackson song. And it does people have gotten really good at creating those. And people have made like a lot of song covers that way, which is using the AI voices that are available. So I think that stuff's super crazy because there's some really, really good ones. I think the better ones are the more popular artists because they're able to feed the AI those a bit more. Or I guess they're just more popular, so the AI is getting those more and learning more from those voices. I mean, same thing with like the presidents right now. People are able to mimic the voices of the presidents and make them say like funny stuff or make them say really not great stuff that can potentially harm both of their campaigns. You know what I mean? So it's like, again, stuff like that, to the way in which AI voice can be used to both give us these really cool things like these AI song covers. It can also lead to some not so great things of causing misinformation.
I can see also fraud being a way you can use it. Having, let's say, someone call your mom or your dad and saying, hey, I'm in trouble, making that it's you, portraying that it's you, and it can be very scary. That actually did happen once to my mom, where she picked up a phone call saying that the Marin County Jail was calling you. Click number on there, click number, like the number 1 or something. And she heard my aunt, the voice of my aunt, like she was saying, hey, I'm here, can you like transfer this money to this so I can get out?
Really? This happened?
But my mom was smart, and my mom called my aunt, and my aunt picked up, and then she's like, what's going on?
That's super scary. How did that even...
I don't even know. That was really scary, and it was late at night. So that's why, again, being
scary,
cautious and scary with AI. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. So that's one way. Also, if we talk about more like writing, Grammarly is a big one that uses to it's a software that helps you with your grammar. So if you install on your computer, you can write a whole paragraph, and Grammarly will go and correct it and give you suggestions of like change this word stuff. It can really like take your writing to the next level. That's one. The other thing that AI is doing is songwriting. A lot of people are like, can you create a song about this? This can tell a story, and then it'll generate different lyrics. So that's where it becomes kind of complicated and complex when it comes to all of these changes in the art world and the work field and professional everything. It can be really challenging.
Yeah, and AI can create when you really think about it, and it goes back to the definition, AI can be implemented in literally anything. I feel like AI can.
The more time goes by, the more I'm seeing it now.
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean, there's going to be AI chefs. There's going to be at restaurants. You're going to see AI chefs that already know how to make all the food, already know all the times and everything. It's just about like optimization and just making the AIs
Kinda
work.
creepy.
It is really creepy, but I think fortunately, unfortunately, that's why we're talking about it, is that I don't really know how to feel about it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, because I do like certain aspects of it and I don't like other aspects of it. But also the other thing that I think is going to be interesting to see in these next few years as AI keeps getting more and more advanced, because it's advancing at a really, really fast pace right now, I would say, is that what are going to be the laws?
I was going to bring that up.
What are going to be the laws with AI? Like, what does that even look like right now? What do you want to add or say about that?
I will also mention about, for example, if we're talking about artists, like what are the restrictions to using AI? How, regulations that I think that definitely needs to be placed for sure, because of how you can tell we're explaining so many things, how it's all just kind of unraveling, but there isn't something for other companies to kind of use as guidelines and regulate AI, and that hasn't really been. I don't think they have anything right now. I think they're definitely working on something, and hopefully they do that soon.
But it's going to be really hard, I feel, to like implement all these laws into AI.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that, because again, there's benefits to it, but then there's also not so great things about AI.
And then, okay, so speaking about that, how do you feel? So I know you're familiar with using the Adobe softwares. So when we're talking about Adobe softwares, we're talking about like Adobe Photoshop, Adobe Premiere Pro, but in this case, more specifically Photoshop. Adobe was in some controversy recently about that. I know you know more about that, so I just wanted to hear that.
Well, when we talk about Adobe, it includes Photoshop and all of these editing software, Illustrator, which a lot of artists use, and it's the main one. There are definitely small competitors to Adobe, but there isn't one big one. It's not like comparing Apple with Samsung, right? And what happened now is they did a new what is that called? Their agreements. Their
privacy policy,
it's something like that.
Terms and agreements.
They just updated, and because they have generative fill and all of these other things that they have included in their softwares, in there it stated something that if artists use it, like in their art, Adobe has full rights to that art, and people weren't happy because it's a tool that we're using, but I give you the example. Let's say I use generative fill to just take out the sparkling water. Then that art, the photo or art that I created, belongs to Adobe
because you use their software.
Because even if it was just to take this out.
Really? Wow.
So that's kind of my understanding. I really haven't dived deep into it to learn more about it. But the reason why people are canceling their subscriptions and trying to cancel Adobe is because of that part, because it takes away the rights of artists. Again, there's that controversial, complex thing about artists protecting their art, and also understanding how AI, takes credit of some of the art that's being created. So definitely the regulations for AI should be, start rolling because it's really tricky. It's really tricky.
And it's scary, dude. It really is scary because if these companies can... Well, that's the other thing that I've heard a lot about AI is that it's stealing a lot of people's arts. So a lot of and it's a big argument right now, that basically a lot of these AI algorithms, okay, where are they getting where's the algorithm getting its information from, right? Like that's the big question is like, okay, where are they getting all this art inspiration from? Where's it all coming from? Well, it's coming from other people's art. You know what I mean? Like I think like DALL-E, I think that's like the big generative image. It's basically like ChatGPT but for images, where it's like the one that can create images right for you.
I haven't tried it, but I've heard about it.
I think that there was controversy with that in terms of it stealing other people's art and like how a lot of the art that gets generated off of that is just art from other people. Like it's just taking inspiration from other people's art. And there's been some like evidence out there of artists being like, hey, what this generated literally looks just like my art, just with a few things that are very slightly different. But I don't know if they've gotten better at that now, or I guess my curiosity is like, how are they training all these AI algorithms in the first place? Like, where are they just using people's data? Like, as they're creating these prompts, like, are they using that data and then continuing to implement it, or like, what are they doing exactly? But what I'm saying is that I have heard a lot of controversy, especially from artists that have actually boycotted using even any of the AI stuff because they feel that it is stealing art.
Yeah, again, back to those regulations that need to be put in place because of all of these things that are being added on, and also knowing that these huge companies are spending millions and billions of dollars on the technology for AI. I mean, Apple, I think spent over or about $100 billion for AI.
That is
so definitely
a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And again, there's nothing right now regulating. Well, from my understanding, there's nothing regulating AI. And that's where people are seeing all of these changes, from Adobe to art being stolen to the credit being stolen. It can be really tricky.
Totally. All right, so we're going to continue the conversation, but right before we continue, I did want to play a song. I wanted to play a song by our good friend Ismael Lara, otherwise known as Evolving Wings, and this song is called Soul Purpose. So we hope you enjoy it, and we will be right back.
Yeah. Evolving Wings. Yeah. I'm a genius, original purpose, resurrect like the phoenix. From the mother lotus emerges, no longer feel wordless. To be a service to purpose, it's evolving wings por vida. Got them all I need, internal play in the brain, got me insane. Explain the pain, your seat's pain. My soul wounded, some wounds can't be computed. God's great shadows meet the darkest alley. Demons came for me, but archangels parried. Swift swings to the soulless rapidly. Call it horror meets fantasy. Lower energies and move like cavities. Sucker MCs, no substance. Ignore the earth's cry. Sucker MCs, no substance. Don't realize we never die. Misguided by subsidized lies. I'm guided by my ancestors' war cries. Borga floor spitting truth, encouraging your spine. Evolving wings manifest you divine. Don't give up, fly. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up, wings up. Compassionate can't pay my soul purpose. Wings up, wings up. Fui bendecido por los grandes que fincan cuatro paredes no pudieron descifrar.
Welcome back. Well, today's announcements is open mic night is tonight. The doors open at 6 p.m. Join us. We'll be here. And if you see us, say hello. But if you're a singer, a writer, a poet, a dancer, please join us.
Yeah.
A comedian, please come and join us. Again, it's every last Friday of the month. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Santi. So kind of shifting gears here in terms of the AI stuff. And we'll probably end up going back to the AI talk anyways. But the other thing I wanted to kind of talk to you about is like, so since we're seeing such an advancement right now in AI, right, and how fast it's going, what other kind of technological advances are you kind of looking forward to right now, or something that you feel you would want to see in your lifetime? Because I mean, there's some things that I feel like we won't see at all because it just takes too long to implement. I don't know. But, yeah.
Why don't you start? Because I've got to think about that question.
I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind is flying cars. Like a society where we all have flying cars. Like,
okay.
When is that going to happen? Mm-hmm. I think that's not going to happen until like another 100 years or something. Mm-hmm. I just think it's just too many. There's maybe even more than 100. Like I know it's going to happen. That's for sure. Mm-hmm. I know it's going to happen. But at the same time, it's like, you got to think about it. Like, it's not just about creating the flying cars. It's about now creating an entirely new traffic system right? And that's airborne. You're in the air. There's so much more that can go wrong when you're flying a car or flying in the air than if you were just driving on like a road, right? Like I feel like it's more dangerous, right? So it's like, what are the laws or traffic laws going to look for that first? Like I feel like they have to figure all that out first before they start looking into creating like flying cars or cars that are sustainable. I don't know. So that's kind of like the big one that I think of right now. And it would be cool to live in a society where we all have flying cars or like the studios like floating buildings, like all buildings in the sky and stuff. Like that's what we think. That's what I at least think of when I think future is like, oh, everything's like in the sky. Everything's up. Like no one's like, nothing's in the ground
On
or
the
something.
ground.
Like it's like,
Was any film influenced by that?
yeah, Star Wars. But it's true. I mean, like,
That should have been your icebreaker question.
What?
That question.
Oh, like what technological advances?
Yeah.
But I mean, again, like that's why I want to bring it up because it's such and there's so many different things that come up to mind, right? But yeah, that's just the first one I wanted to share there.
I think for me is finding something that can replace plastic that can be biodegradable in a way that can help our Mother Earth because I'm a big believer in this is our one home. I know there's talks about Mars and having a different society in Mars, but for me it's like we have this beautiful planet that we are destroying, and that's the reality of it. By all of the things that are being produced, the plastic, and it breaks my heart when I see our ocean have a lot of garbage in it. It breaks my heart when I go back home in my hometown and there's plastic everywhere. And knowing that doesn't go away. And so for me, I definitely would love to see technology that can help us in a way achieve what we already have, but in a way that is not damaging to our world. But it might take a really long time, and I don't even know if there's something that they're slowly building for that, because plastic's really cheap. So there's that.
Yeah, and then no, that's great because that kind of plays into what I was also thinking is like, there has to be a more sustainable way for like energy sources, right? Like I feel like we're definitely gonna figure that out at some point where it's just like we have like energy just never goes away. Right, like not even renewable energy, just energy that is there, that is just able to be used that way. Like, but see, the thing is, like, when it comes to something like that, it's like since we live especially in the United States, like we want to make money, companies want to make money off of all this stuff. It's like, okay, if that happens, there's gonna be like no market, or there's gonna be like no. Like, what's the market look like for that, right? Like, if they do find an energy source that's like able to just provide energy without really sacrificing too many resources and stuff, like how are they going to create like I don't know, like some type of market around that?
There's so many puzzle pieces to the whole thing. I can see I understand where you're coming from,
but that would be cool to see at least, or just know of before I pass away in this lifetime. Because again,
but
I feel like
technology of cars that you brought up,
I
think cars have been advancing so much too in the past.
Well, the future
decade.
right now is looking like electric cars, electric vehicles.
I'm not the biggest fan of electric vehicles, but you can see
why is that?
Why is that?
Yeah.
Because there's this whole idea that electric cars are better than gas.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the big thing. That's the big argument everyone makes.
Everybody's saying. And it's not because I like cars that I'm being this. It's the fact that here at the MCM as well, we have a big part that works with environmental protection and all that, and sea level rise and all these other things. And one thing that I've also understood is that the battery for, let's say, the most famous
like Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla
battery.
Their battery, they say it's reusable and all of these things, but it's not. To get that battery itself, it takes a lot of
Resources that are bad to the environment.
Or bad to the environment. And what they do after that battery is gone, they'll put it back into the earth. And the radius of what is that called? The energy that it gives out.
Radiation?
I think it's radiation.
Is it radiation? I don't think.
But it's a huge portion that it damages the ground. So I understand the idea of electric cars, but I there's a misinformation that it's better for the environment than gas.
Yeah.
The truth is, both have their good and bad,
right.
And one thing is not higher than the other. So for me, again, I love the idea, but the reality of it right now is not true. So do your research on that. Don't believe me 100%. I'm a big believer of curiosity, and so ask questions, do your research. Again, everything that these cars provide is really interesting. The self-driving part of Tesla, that's AI, right? It should be AI.
I mean, it probably has some AI implemented into it, but
all of that the technology brings, it's all really interesting things. But also understanding where it comes from and how it's being used. It's just, it can really make you think. And it's, again, the more you know, the harder it is for people to push you one way or another. You can make your own decisions based on what you know.
And I feel like electric vehicles make more sense in areas that are already more developed. So what I mean by that is here in Marin County, there's like a bunch of charging stations everywhere because you see so many
But here's the thing. Right now, the way they make money is the taxes for gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to I believe it's in, again, I might be wrong, to fix roads and to take care of the highways.
Yeah,
a lot of the money comes from when we pay for gas. We have gas taxes, but because there's more electric cars. If you didn't know this, California is planning to charge people who have gas cars to charge per miles on the highway. So they're going to charge you.
Hearing about that. Yeah.
And they're pushing for it because
terrible.
because electric cars are taking over. So there's no money coming in. So again, there's pros and cons to everything. And the more you learn and the more you understand, it can give you a little bit of perspective. But in California, that's something that's being pushed, and it's going to be really hard for people because you're going to have to buy a whole new car.
Electric cars aren't they're not necessarily super. I mean, in California, I know there's a $7,500 tax credit or something like that takes off again $7,500 from a new electric vehicle, but it's still expensive. Like you said, it's still a new car, so it's still an expensive thing to do. And I think I know right now they're heading in the direction where they're gonna stop just developing new gas cars.
Oh yeah, a lot of companies have already announced it. They have an end date of when they're doing it. But again, it's really interesting because they're going to be charging. They're planning to charge for us using the highways if you use another car.
Like a gas.
Which again, it's just all really interesting how things are developing over time. And yeah.
Okay. So another thing I wanted to bring up was our smartphones. I wanted to ask you, do you think that the current smartphones, so the current iPhones, the current Samsung Galaxies, all that stuff, do you think that's where the design has peaked? Do you see anything else being done to perfect the modern phone right now?
Oh, I think so.
What can you see being more implemented into
I think they would make them more lighter.
Okay, but that's making it lighter. But I'm thinking more in terms of okay, they're always going to end up improving the cameras on them. That we know. But do you think, is there anything in the design themselves?
The design, not the software.
Yeah, that can be more, because I feel like it's peaked. I feel like iPhones, smartphones have peaked now. This is where we're gonna this is the advancements, and then all of it is just gonna be minor improvements to already what's existing. Because we want the phones to walk now or something, or the phones to fly us to play. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't really see. We've come a long way, because I remember my first phone was a flip phone back in elementary school. And then I remember when the first iPhone came out, we were like, wow, this was really cool to see. But if you think about it, if you compare the first iPhone to the new iPhone or the new smartphones that we see now, they're pretty much the same. Nothing much has changed, just other than the software getting faster, the cameras obviously getting nicer. But other than that, it's the same. It's still the touchscreen. Like everything has adopted the touchscreen model, right? So it's like,
I mean, when we talk about the appearance, Apple is very well known to kind of keep the same style where they change very minor things. Samsung, on the other hand, they have taken a variety of different phones. They have taken an upgrade to the flip phone.
right,
It's
implementing a touchscreen.
Yeah, and then also the folding phones. So I think Samsung in that side has definitely created different types of phones. I think they will absolutely recreate this the phone because of what it's doing already. The software, on the other hand, again, we mentioned it in the beginning. Siri, Siri is a big thing that's gonna come. The upgrade is Siri's gonna have. You're gonna be able to have a conversation in a way with Siri. All these other, it replaced a lot. Our phones replaced a lot of things too. It replaced cameras. It replaced physical calculators. It replaced physical notepads. It replaced physical photo albums. It replaced
MP3 players.
It replaced so many things. And it even replaced for people who are in construction, like the thing to measure if something is
the level.
It replaced that, because you can literally put your phone in and it does that. I can even look at this and kind of,
or like a ruler,
like
a ruler.
Measuring tape. It definitely replaced a lot of things. So I don't know the design. My brain cannot imagine something else that they would create.
Right.
But I absolutely know that they will. The software is the part where it's slowly and continues to advance. Again, Samsung has done a lot of crazy things too. The Google Pixel, being able to take a photo and or if you want to search something up with a photo, like all these other things in the software part, has definitely, and it keeps getting, better and better, regardless if it's Apple or Samsung.
I think the other thing too that I'd like to see right now is, or another way I can see it like being further developed on a phone is creating holograms. So creating like a hologram of because we already kind of have it with our cameras, where like on Amazon, for example, like if you're looking at a product, it sometimes has the option view in your room, where you turn on your camera and then it kind of like shows you how it would look like in your room. But I think it's going to develop to a way where the cameras are going to be able to create this hologram of this thing in real, like in real size and everything, and you can just like see it really in your room or wherever you are. And I think that could be really interesting, actually. I feel like it will happen. But again, as to when that'll happen, I don't know. But I feel like that's the only other real thing that I see kind of improving in the future or being implemented in the future. But again, going back to AI, I think all phones are going to be, Apple already kind of, Samsung, I think, was the one that actually hopped on the AI train. The Google phones actually are the ones that have hopped on the AI train.
The difference that makes Siri,
like at the beginning,
the difference between Google and it's the Siri having like conversation. It's like a chat GPT with Siri.
Yeah,
that's what the huge big advancement that they made with that.
Totally, yeah, and I think for me too. Again, seeing more of the in the camera apps themselves for the phones, like you're also able to, on the Google phones at least, and I know they're going to bring it to Apple pretty soon with the new software, but Google phones are able to delete things from the photos, so you don't have them on there. They've been doing that for a minute now.
They've been doing that for a while, just kind of like generative fill.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on it, but I hope that one thing that I hope AI does is really improve the health. The health department,
right?
With finding cure to diseases that maybe hasn't been easy to find a cure for. And
what's interesting and what I wanted to add to that is a really, really great point is, so I attended an AI meeting last year. I was doing a videography like side gig for it, and I just like videoed this AI like business meeting over in San Francisco. And it was really interesting. A lot of the stuff, it was basically like a bunch of presentations from all these like AI tech companies, and a lot of it was going over my head. I didn't really understand most of it. Like they were just using like really big words that I was not used to hearing, and I was like, okay. But there was one that was really interesting, where it was this lady who was looking for a solution for her grandma, for having like a caretaker and stuff, like someone to always talk to. So, or sorry, not a caretaker, but like let's say your grandpa passed away, right? And your grandma's feeling alone. Your grandma doesn't like is like grieving your grandpa's death. Well, they've created an AI system where it takes the grandpa's voice and takes the grandpa's looks and stuff and implements it into into the software. So then that way, like the grandma can pretend like they're talking to the grandpa
really?
again and stuff. Yeah, so stuff like that.
Oh,
and
interesting.
that was like the one that was like, oh, whoa, that is weird, but I also see where they're coming from, like why they want to create something like that. But again, it's like it could be helpful, in that aspect, I guess, if someone's really grieving or someone's really having a tough time dealing with a loss, especially like an elderly person who tends to be more alone, right? It can really help out in that fact. But I think also, I mean, that's one way I've see it in like a health way, but also AI being used to find cancer early, or AI being implemented to be able to find cells in the body to see like, oh, where cancer cells are developing and stuff like that. Like, I think that's really, really good if AI is able to do that type of medical work.
Technology that can really, again, you mentioned it, help catch things early or make things more accessible for people who have certain health conditions that are not, they have to carry a lot of things and all of these things. So hopefully there can be something that can really help. There is something we completely didn't talk about, and it was the Elon Musk chip, the chip that goes in
the Neuralink.
Yeah. It's very scary. I think that's the one that I'm mostly scared of because it's a chip that can control, can be connected to, is it a computer?
I don't know. I remember hearing about that, but I don't remember exactly
that is connected
what it
to
does.
a computer, and then you can do things on the screen without you touching it, which is the scary part. And I asked myself, like, why would you want to do that? Like, what? I don't want anything in my brain. But the first person ever who has that chip is actually someone who is disabled. They can't use their hands or anything.
Yeah.
And they got to play video games with that chip in their
Like it was able for them to create like nerves again to
No. It was them thinking, let's say move the mouse to the right. Thinking it moved it.
Oh, what the heck?
So
that's weird.
So that, and now I thought, I was like, that's kind of really scary. I don't know how that would work. But then realizing people with disabilities, they can have the ability to communicate
with people
and talk. And so again, there's pros and cons to everything. And we're sharing all of this for you all to have the curiosity and search more about it and learn more about it, because all of these things are coming. And
yeah, I mean, looking at the website for Neuralink, it definitely looks like that's what it's for. They're actually looking. You can actually register if you have quadriplegia, which is being paralyzed from all four limbs, like you're disabled, like you can't move anything. They're actually taking in patients for that if they want to try out the Neuralink to see if it can help.
Yeah, the first person was already has it is the person who can't use their hands, but they can do a lot of things with the computer. It's history made.
Yeah, it's a historic moment.
Yeah,
I remember hearing about it, but I haven't looked really into the details. But that's really interesting. Okay, I mean, it's both scary but also great for people.
That's what I said. It's a mixture of both things. But again, if that can help, I don't know. I honestly don't know how I feel about it. I don't know enough about it to really understand it, and I think as well they don't know much about it because they're in their testing stages right now of actually having human trials.
Yeah, totally. Well, thanks for bringing that up. One thing that I also wanted to touch on are so with tech advances right now, I think that also being able to create buildings and speeding up the building process is something I would like to see. As in, like, I know we got construction companies that, build these buildings, and they can work fast if given enough resources. But I think there's also the same way how there's AI surgeons now, or they're working on creating AI surgeons where they can, do a really complicated surgery, very, very like detailed, because it's a computer and you can feed it all the detailed information. Like, it can do it. Like, I feel like you do the same thing with like someone who can, like a machine that can just
They
build.
actually did.
Really?
There was already one that I don't remember if they 3D print it or how it worked, but it was a machine putting blocks, building a home already.
Wow.
Again, if we talk about replacing jobs, that's scary because they're already working for technology that can replace people who are building homes. We have a painting company with my families, and I can picture someone, something
like a robot or something just going
taking
like
away the labor
up and down with the paint. Yeah.
So it's in every industry. There's always something that is related to new advancements that are very, very interesting.
Yeah. No, totally. I agree with you there. I think that again, seeing these advancements is really scary, but again, it's exciting, and that's kind of the theme that we've been seeing with everyone. We're all just still really unsure. I mean, the information from this video will probably be outdated in 2 years too, because there's probably going to be another advancement in AI that maybe we weren't even expecting, right? And again, just the fact that going back to when I went to like that Panda Express drive-through and seeing that they're already implementing AI, like I think we're just going to keep seeing it in front of our eyes. Like, we're going to keep seeing these developments. We're going to start seeing like these robot employees or these AI robot employees, like
even with your agenda, there's a new program called, I keep getting ads for it, that's why I mentioned it, Motion. And Motion, it integrates with your email, different type of software. So
Notion, you mean?
Oh, Notion. Is
Notion.
it Notion or
Yeah,
Motion?
Notion. Yeah.
Notion, with like Asana and all of these. And if your meeting gets canceled, your schedule like shifts. Like Google doesn't necessarily do that, like Google Calendar. It doesn't necessarily do that, but that generates your agenda for you to actually be on task. Again, if something is canceled, it will move things around. You can put in your project, I need this done by, and it will spread it evenly around your schedule. Like, you have to edit, let's say a video. My video is due by the end of, July 30th. So it will break down for July where you're editing and puts in your agenda, like meetings.
Like optimizes it.
Yep.
Like optimizes
Yeah.
so that it makes sure that you do turn it in on time. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So again, in every industry, there's something new technology.
Yeah, totally. All right, so we're kind of coming towards the end of the show here, but I wanted to ask you, Santi, before I leave my final comments. Is there any other things that you wanted to bring up right before we end it?
Just be curious, learn about all these new changes. I will say again and again, the more you know, the harder it is for people to push you in areas that you might not like.
Yeah.
So educate yourself, learn more about it, so that when big decisions are made, whether it's local or for the whole world or the United States, you have a better understanding on why you're choosing against it or for it. But if you don't know anything about it, they're just going to place it in front of you. So I'm a big believer on curiosity, learning, and that way it's harder for people to push you around.
Totally. Thank you for sharing that. I'm the same way right now. I think it's perfectly normal right now to be feeling like scared in a way.
Absolutely.
or worried because of just, again, all the things that AI and these tech advances are really heading towards. Because like I said, even 2 years doesn't seem like a long time, but it's real. Again, technology advances really fast, really fast. And again, it's fine. It's good. Just always do your research. Always stay on, even, like you were saying, Santi, it's like if you're curious about something or curious about learning about a certain AI, look into it and just kind of know what it could bring or what it could be displaying in the future, because that way you make yourself stay, on time and on ready for what's to come. Okay, it's always better to be prepared for what's to come than have something be a surprise one day, right? So that's the way I'm seeing AI right now, and I'm also excited to see more of how it can be implemented in a way where it can help creators continue to create and really make what they want to do. Like I can see AI being implemented into even looking at your video. Like you can send it a video and be like, hey, what is this video missing? Like, what is this video? What can be better in this video? Like as an advice tool or something. I can see it being used like that. And I think that in those ways it can be really helpful. But again, it's just about, again, looking into all the laws that will be implemented into like seeing if it's going to be stealing art or like what's your privacy with the AI, like all that stuff. It's just all super complicated.
Oh
but
yeah, we didn't even talk about
Yeah.
the data that it's taking, which can
from
also be
from users,
from
yeah.
users. Absolutely. So there's a lot to think about. There's a lot of exciting and scary things with it.
Yeah.
But again, the goal of this podcast is for you all to just hear all of the little snippets of everything that's going
Yeah.
on. And we probably missed so many because we don't know everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing, Santi. We're at the end of our show, but thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you guys next week for our next episode here at Tay Radio Marin. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.